Alrighty then. So this video is about mainsprings. So this is a watch mainspring, a pocket watch mainspring. So a lot of people asking on the blogs and stuff, how the heck do you replace one of these pocket watch mainsprings? Well, it's not that difficult. So the mainspring is typically rolled up into a barrel. Let me just grab, I got a bunch of watch parts here, as you can see. And let me just grab a barrel here. This is a representative mainspring barrel here. And this barrel, as you can see, this is not the right barrel for this mainspring, but the mainspring would be rolled into this barrel, right? And there'd be an arbor in the center. So I think I made another video on how to take it out, but you use your tweezers and you basically take it from the center and you weave it out slowly, right? And I've got another video on how to put them in. So, but anyway, this is a barrel, mainspring barrel, and the barrel would have a cap on it as well. I don't have a cap to show you, or do I? So let me have another look at my big, huge collection of mainsprings and barrels and caps. Oh, there's a good one there. So this one has got a mainspring barrel cap and arbor, I believe. Ibadeeb. That's Eddie Murphy used to say that. Ibadeeb. Anyway, there it is there. So in this case here, I have a mainspring kind of complete here. And if I were to snap that out, push that mainspring out, the cap would come off. So let me just see if I can take the cap off, and I'll just show you how that works for a second. Not sure if I can do this or not, but let me just do this really quickly. There's a little groove there. I'm going to zoom in. Zooming in is always a good thing. So what is life without zooming? So here I go, zooming again. And I just put my screwdriver in there, and I almost have it, I think, and pop the cap off. So there's the cap there. And there's the arbor for the mainspring. This one's rusty as heck. But there's the arbor, and that would pop out of this. And the mainspring would be in here and tightened around this center arbor here. And it would be catching right here. So if I look at the barrel wall of this mainspring, there is a hook, a mainspring hook right here. So this hook right here prevents the mainspring from slipping. So this little part here, the mainspring comes up and it bends over and comes back again. This part here is snug against the wall of the barrel, and it catches that hook, and it prevents it from sliding. So what I typically do when I'm putting in a mainspring, I will do this by hand typically. And pardon my thumbnails and stuff, my God, I need to cut all that. Anyway, it's pretty disgusting. Anyway, so just keep going here. Just noticed. And I will take this, let me just back this off just a bit. I will take this and make sure that the spring is up against the hook, and then I'll feed that in manually like this, and I'll just roll that in like that, and over that area, just like this. And once I've got it rolled in, as you can see, I'm rolling it in right now. Rolling, keep that spring a-rolling, and a rolling ride through all kinds of weather. You gotta sing it like that from the old days. Through all kinds of weather, hell bent for leather, they'll get you at the end of the ride. Strap 'em up, getting up, grab 'em up, strap 'em up, run 'em up, ride. Whoosh, whoosh. Anyway, there we go. So I rolled the spring into the barrel. Actually, it actually fits pretty well. So this spring would be like this, and it's a broken spring because this would come into the center more. 1/3 of the volume of this spring is taken up by the barrel, or 1/3 of the volume of the inside of the barrel is taken up by the spring, and 1/3 of the volume is taken up by the arbor. So this is a rule of thumb. And then this thing here, this thing is popped out like so. Probably will never use this again. And then you have the arbor in like that, and then you have the mainspring in like that. So when you pop this open to go clean a mainspring or replace it, it's probably broken, and it probably looks like this. and then you have to get that mainspring out of the barrel. So I just put it in. So you do that, and then you, actually it's handy to have a long thumbnail in this hand, but then you walk it out like so, walking it out like that, and then you have the mainspring out of the barrel. So now, how do you replace that barrel? That is the question you're thinking about right now. So actually, it's not the question you're thinking about. It's how do you replace the mainspring, not the barrel. I don't know. I got this cold and it's bugging the crap out of me. So there's the mainspring there. That's fairly set, which means that it's set in its way. It's kind of basically set and not there. That's a little bit better, right? Now, the first thing you got to do is figure out the replacement mainspring. You need the mainspring height, thickness, length, barrel diameter, and what type. There it is there. Mainspring height, that's just an example, 1.5 millimeters. Thickness, 0.12, which is also the strength of the mainspring. The length of the mainspring is 300 millimeters, and the barrel diameter, whatever that might be, maybe 8 millimeters, and the type of mainspring. And by type, what I mean is that you're typically going to get a type mainspring that ends either with a little jobby-do like that, right, like this, and sometimes it also has a hole in it like that, and these things stick up through the barrel cap and the bottom of the barrel. Or you'll get a mainspring that just is like the one I just showed you. It just has a fold over like this, and it's just folded over onto itself with a little, this is like a leaf that comes out, and it's like that. And sometimes the automatic, fully automatic mainsprings are like that, folded over, and they slide. Or the ones that are from pocket watches, or the old pocket watches, have the little hook on them on the edge of the barrel. And then sometimes the mainspring is just like this with a little hook like that, and that just gets in the, there's a barrel hook also in there, and that's the type hook that fits into here, and you'll have one of those. So these are the common ones that you'll get. There are a few others, but mainly these. So usually it's an automatic spring, or it's not an automatic spring. The automatic springs have the fold over like this to give it friction, and the automatic springs actually slide in the barrel, and you have to, the barrel looks like this here, and the spring goes around like this, and then it slides back onto itself like that, right? And then that provides friction, and there's barrel grease you have to put on the inside of the barrel to allow it to adhere, but not adhere too much, because it's an automatic watch. You cannot have it. You got to allow people to kind of overwind the watch or whatever. Just wind it tight, and then this will slip, right? And the ones with the hook, the barrel, the ones that have the actual hook on them like this, they have a little hook that goes out like that, and that's the one that you have to, you get the, it's like a tip of a nail or whatever. Anyway, that hook feeds into that hole there, and then I feed these in by hand because it's a lot easier to do. And the T ones, if this were a barrel cap, they'll have a little hole on the top of the barrel like that, and they'll have another hole in the bottom, and this T gets fed into that hole. So again, for pocket watches, I feed them in by hand, and I take them out by hand. I do have a mainspring winder I might show you in a few seconds, but so these are the things you need. So you can go to cousinsuk.com, I think, and just pick the dimensions that you want. So in this case here, if I look at this mainspring here, say, well, what dimension is this? Well, I've got all kinds of gauges here that you can get. These are vintage gauges that you can get to measure mainsprings. Here's 3 of them here, and this gauge here would tell me that if I was looking at the width of this, if I was looking at the height, the mainspring height of this mainspring, the height of the mainspring height, whatever I said there, I would just slot that into whatever slot fits here. Where is it? I think it's on this side. You got to pick the right one too, that it's millimeters. And I go like that, and it fits right into 11. So that would be 1.1, I believe, 1.1 millimeters. So the other thing you can do, and then this here thing here, is this is for measuring the strength of the mainspring. So And in this case, you would straighten the end of the mainspring out, like so, like that. And I do this by hand here. You'd straighten the end out, and you'd slide it down here, and it would stop. And you'd look at where it stops, and it says, from a millimeter perspective, it's stopping at 0.19. So 0.19. Now, I'm not sure how accurate that is, but I'm going to tell you in 2 seconds. And this is exactly the same thing here. And these are typical for like pivot gauges as well, where you slide it down and the pivot gauge and the pivot stops there. But I don't like using these because these are just can ruin your pivot, so I don't recommend using that. But now that we have modern science, we've got made in Japan, actually made in China. So this is a micrometer. So I've got this set for millimeters, as you can see. So I roll this all the way to the end, like that, and I zeroize it, like this. Then I can take the mainspring, right, and then I can open the barrel here, and I can just measure this like this. So I go like that, and then measure that, and it says 0.19, is that what it says? 0.19? I think I said 11 on the other one, so that might be in inches and not millimeters. So 0.19, like that. So it's 0.19 millimeters. That's the mainspring height, 0.19. And then I can shove that mainspring in here as well and measure its thickness. So 0.19 and a thickness of, and squeeze that a bit here. It's 0.1718. So 1718. So I say 0.19. I think I meant 1.9. Hang on a second here. Let me see. Yeah, that was 1.9 and 0.18. 1.9 and 0.18. Let me write that down. 0.186, but if I squeeze it a little harder, 0.186 So the mainspring, so this was, the height was 1.9, right? The thickness was 0.18. Just put square brackets around this. And then the length, for the length of the mainspring, it's very difficult to measure the length of the mainspring. I typically get, depends, you can select the barrel width and then, or the barrel diameter, not too worry too much about the length. So, because it'll, if you go to Cousins UK, it'll size it properly, but 300 or 400 millimeters for a normal size, like a 400 millimeters is pretty good for a big pocket watch, like a size 18 pocket watch. So if I roll this thing open here completely, so take a few seconds, bear with me, because I is videotaping the exact same time, and I'm going to just estimate the barrel diameter here. Let me hold the barrel with my tweezers here, and this is what I typically do. I can use a ruler too. I don't need to use this. I can use a ruler and just measure the barrel diameter with a ruler. But, so there we go there. So the barrel diameter is approximately 16. So when I go order that mainspring, I can say it needs to fit into a 16 millimeter diameter barrel, so 16.5, whatever. So I would write that down too. Barrel diameter 16.5, like that. And then the length, I'm not sure how to measure the length. You can take this is a ruler here, and I guess you could stretch this thing out. You got to add the other part too, so so these are millimeters, I guess. So it's 11, so it's 110 right there, and then you do this again. That's another 110, so 220, and there's another 200, so 300, because I lost the arbor in the middle. So about 300 millimeters is the length of that mainspring. That's a 300 millimeter length mainspring. So length 300 millimeters, and then when I go on the Cousins UK website, I simply put that data in, and it selects the mainspring for me. And then you have to make sure that, I'll just zoom in here maybe. I gotta cut that thumbnail. That is disgusting. disgusting. Is that a word? Duh. It's better than disgusting. So there's the spring on the end. So as you can see, other than my gross thumbnail, there is the... I'm going to cut that right now. That is terrible. Anyway, it's great for opening pocket watches, by the way. A long thumbnail, because you're rigid along the side and you go pop. Anyway, that is the part that is for it's for hooking on the edge of the barrel. So that's the barrel there, and then there is an edge. There it is, right there, and that hooks on that little tiny hook there to stop it. So you got effectively the spring is like this, and it's on the inside, and let me see if I can move that in the right direction, and I can't show that too much, but anyway, it's hooked on the inside of that barrel. So that's what it is. That's my long fingernails for playing classical guitar. So you can't bug me about that because I need them for classical guitar. So if you put any notes in there saying what's with the long fingernails, it's because I play classical guitar. Anyway, so, or I finger pick. So that is that. So tighten that, zeroize it, turn it off. So that is one way of doing it. Now let me zoom this in properly again. Like I said in another video, I just got this, and it's a camera that I can manually focus, which I like a lot better for some work. So I also have one of these babies, which is like this is a rich man's micrometer. So that's the micrometer there. And again, this micrometer is fairly accurate. You know, it's pretty much zeroized, as you can see. See when I slide that back, it stops at 0. So in this case here, this is like, it's a very, 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 very precise micrometer. It's a Bergeron micrometer, actually. So if I measure it like that, what did I say that was? It was 1.9. If you look at that, if I put that in there again and then just squeeze it up a bit, it's 1.95. Yep, 1.95. So there's the 1. You just leave that in there. So quickly reading this, there's the first notch is 1, the second one is 2, so it's not at 2 yet, and there's the 9, so it's 0.9, and then it's reaching its way back to 0 again, so 0.9, and then 5 or 4, so 1.94. So that is the absolute thickness of the thing. Of course, I dropped it in the ground as I'm explaining this to you. So, and then the thickness of it would be, I just squeeze it in there, and I said the thickness was 0.12, and that's not at 1 yet, so 0.12, 0.12. This one here says it's 0.15 or 6. Yeah, 0.18. So this is probably more accurate. That's 0.18, and that represents the strength of this mainspring. And if you don't have the strength of on a mainspring, when you put it in the barrel and you install it into the watch again, then you've got some significant issues about power for the watch. You want it to retain its power. So that is how you measure a mainspring. And then once again, just bring the notes back here. You're looking for the mainspring height, and in this case it was 1.9. The thickness, it says 0.12, but actually it was 0.18. It wasn't 0.12. The measurement was 0.18, which is what that micrometer said. And then the length is around 300, and the barrel diameter was 16.5. These are the mainspring types. I run into these ones a lot, and sometimes I run into these ones on older watches with the hole and the T on the end. So that is everything I know about mainsprings, but you're afraid to ask. And if you're just curious, I did manage to get a whole whack of mainsprings here. This is like this is a pot of gold for mainsprings. So when I have to repair a watch, and I've got other mainsprings as well, I can go in here and generally do the measurement and figure out just on the size alone what mainspring I need. In a lot of cases, the mainspring will be held in these little tiny cases like this. Let me grab one here, like so, and and these are made to just pop right into the barrel. So those diameters are probably pretty accurate for an old watch, and so we get smaller diameters here. I'm pretty sure these would pop right into the barrel, but at any rate, I would take them out and measure it. But my first measurement is the height of that mainspring. Like the mainspring height is, when you install the mainspring into the barrel, it's got to be just below that lip where the barrel cap sits down. Because if the height is not right, won't allow you to put the barrel cap back on, or if it's too small, it'll ride around up and down. So anyway, that's everything I know about mainsprings. Have fun.